What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hungry Thoughts podcast, the show for all things food and where our appetite has no limits. I'm your host, Nick Barahona. Very excited for this episode. We're at episode 3 right now. Before we introduce our amazing guest, I'm so excited about this guest that we have on today. I just wanted to quickly mention, if you guys want to support me in any way, more than just viewing and more than just checking me out and like watching these videos, you can check out my Patreon. That'll be down below. Really appreciate you guys. Love you guys to death. Also, too, big shout out to our sponsor, El Pollo Rico in Arlington, Virginia. The best of the best when it comes to a la brasa, Peruvian food. Go check them out if you're ever in Arlington, or make the trip wherever you're at. Definitely worth it. So yeah, let's dive right into it. We're really excited, as I said, about our guest today. Christina, thank you so much for coming. So just, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and we'll just dive right into it.
Thank you, Nick. I'm super excited to be here, and I am a Patreon subscriber. So I got the email confirmed, and I'm going to have to get some swag too. I love this. Are the t-shirts new? I saw something with coffee mugs you were deciding.
So they're coming out. So we're in the works right now. So you'll definitely be first in line to receive those for sure.
I love it. So cool. So you and I met working together on a influencer sponsored campaign for one of our clients. So I have a company called Tiramisu for Breakfast. And we are kind of a social media influencer PR firm. My background is in advertising. I teach advertising at BCU and also PR. And we work with some local clients, national clients. We don't necessarily stay within the food industry, but we have gotten to do some really cool stuff within that, like, restaurant or consumer packaged goods or food and drink space. And so that is how Nick and I met. So we represent the McDonald's in the area. It started out just the ones in Richmond, which is about 68, 69. And then we recently just expanded to where we're covering the Hampton Roads, Tidewater area as well.
And that's Tiramisu for Breakfast that's doing that, correct?
Yeah, that's Tiramisu for Breakfast. So that has been, I would say, one of our longest clients is that relationship with McDonald's. And one of the campaigns that we did was partnering with Busch Gardens, a theme park nearby, and they were launching a new roller coaster, and they did these special edition meals. And I wanted to do some campaigns where we sent influencers to the park to experience the roller coaster and also experience the McDonald's meal in collaboration. So I looked to, I believe the group was Virginia Bloggers, or Virginia is for Bloggers, a Facebook group, and did an ask. I had a couple people that I reached out to, and then I also did an ask in there and let them know about the campaign. And I think it was through another blog or group or influencers, the VA Foodies, and somehow we all got connected. Shout out to them. And so then you did that campaign. Who did you go with to the park?
I went with my girlfriend, Natalie.
With your girlfriend? Okay,
it was
awesome. So him and Natalie got to go, took some really great content. You had raving reviews from VA Foodies, and you did a great job there. And then I don't even really know how the conversation kind of continued there, but then you ended up interning with Tiramisu for Breakfast.
Yeah, so after that experience, it was incredible. We had a great time. I think that was my first time at Busch Gardens, and I loved it. And so after that, I wanted to just kind of say thank you and meet you in person to thank you myself. And that turned into like an hour and a half long conversation. And then I remember it came up about me potentially interning, but I'd never thought that it was actually going to be a thing. But then I remember I followed up, and then before I knew it, I was coming into Tiramisu for Breakfast downtown in Richmond. And I mean, it was a great, maybe 4 months?
I'm not sure
3 to 4 months.
How long, yeah.
But
flew by.
I feel like we did a lot though, but it did fly by, and it was a lot of fun. I'm so thankful for that opportunity, for you to give me that opportunity, and also to the VA Foodies for recommending me and just helping me out in that aspect. But like you said, so Tiramisu for Breakfast is, would you say, a PR agency, or what would you title that?
It's so funny, right? Because I feel the industry changes so much. And so when I started out in my career, I was a broadcast media buyer. So I actually negotiated with TV and radio stations to place commercials on TV and radio. And so I worked at the Martin Agency, worked on the Geico Gecko, and also a couple other clients over there. And then I got really interested in social media and moved into that. So kind of a combination of things. I knew I was just super excited about social media, and a lot of people kind of were resistant to it in my industry is what I found. And it created a unique opportunity for me to kind of latch on to something that other people didn't want to do.
Yeah.
There wasn't a set career path for it. It wasn't like,
because it was still early, right?
yeah, it was still early in social media. You know, I had Facebook and things like that when I was in college. And then, Richmond is, it's a city. We have like a thriving creative market, but it's not necessarily like a giant city where there's a bunch of social media agencies. So especially something really new, there wasn't a lot of people doing it. And then I also kind of at the same time started a blog called Tiramisu for Breakfast. And, I worked with Geico. I worked with a lot of food brands. I worked with Cool Whip,
Nice.
frozen whip topping, and Stovetop.
And this was when you were with the Martin Agency.
Yeah, when I was with Martin Agency. So I got to do a bunch of different brands and it was cool. But one industry that I was really interested in was the beauty space. And so, none of the firms that I had been working with or hadn't gotten the chance to work with a beauty client, but I followed a lot on YouTube and I watched like beauty influencers. I was super interested in, and of course, even just from the time I was little, like reading all the articles, and I was fascinated, especially the ones where they take like lipstick and they smear it in eyeshadow and kind of crush it up and do this cool like artistic whatever, and celebrities, what's in their makeup bags. So I started Tiramisu for Breakfast as a beauty blog, just kind of like a fun hobby to have an outlet for that, beauty side of things. But then I started to see kind of opportunities for the things to merge together. So that's why the social media agency PR firm type of thing developed, and that's why it kind of took on the same name. At first, I called it TFB Agency because I was actually really self-conscious about the name Tiramisu for Breakfast. I thought it was going to be seen as silly.
What was the inspiration for that name?
So
When tiramisu?
Yeah, when I was at VCU, I lived in Johnson Hall.
Nice.
And it was amazing. I lived on the top floor, and I thought it was like the coolest thing because I'm from the country.
Okay.
And to be on like the top floor and like see all that city. People talk about like, oh, Richmond, a little city. But to me, it was like, I'm in the big city. This is so cool. Across from Johnson Hall, it's not there anymore. Right now, there's like a Panera and a Chipotle and Noodles and Company, I think. Yeah. But at the time, there was a little Italian restaurant called Vito's. And so they had pizza. And it was also my first time where I could get like food delivered or just like pick up food or eat anything anytime I wanted. Yeah. And that was the coolest. And so I used to always get pizza, like I think a couple slices of pepperoni pizza, cheese fries with bacon, and a tiramisu. And even though I was like eating a lot and stuff, I still wasn't able to like finish that tiramisu. So the literal aspect of it comes from kind of, I would have that in my little dorm mini fridge and eat the tiramisu for breakfast. And then, like Vito's is not around anymore. I wish I could get to tell them like, oh my gosh, like I named my company after this. But I think that's kind of the literal meaning of it. But then I think it's more symbolic of this idea of you're not supposed to eat tiramisu for breakfast, which also I kind of think is silly because it has espresso in it. It genuinely feels like a breakfast food to me, but I know it's not classified as that. But that's kind of the whole idea of tiramisu for breakfast is breaking rules and doing things differently, thinking outside of the box. And it's not even something I feel like I've tried to do. It's just been something that came naturally to me. And also just this, it feels indulgent and fun. And so when it was the name of the beauty blog, it's just kind of this like cute idea, right? And it's, you're eating tiramisu for breakfast. It's fun. This blog is my hobby. It's my fun little indulgence. I love to go to these beauty stores and try new products. I spend my free time watching all these beauty influencers. And so that's kind of how the name came about. And then since I've learned tiramisu, actually, I think like translates to, or the Italian meaning of it's like pick me up or cheer me up, which I think is cool. I didn't even know that when I chose the name. I'm not even Italian. I don't know, I guess. I haven't done the 23andMe. But it's funny to learn that because I feel like that's also fitting because we try to bring like real high energy and a lot of enthusiasm to our clients. And so to then have that like pick me up, cheer me up, it's kind of cool. And I think that's how it's been in business. It's sometimes you don't even know the pieces are coming together until you kind of look back on it and you're like, oh, wow, it is good I chose that name. Because it kind of things fall into place. And you learn you were kind of putting together pieces and working towards something, maybe even subconsciously, even before you knew what you were doing. So that's been kind of fun. But I did think Tiramisu for breakfast was like this silly, goofy, fun name. And I was young when I started the company. And so...
Yeah, how old were you? Or what year was it?
It was 2016.
Okay. So that was after the Martin agency. You went into that?
Yeah, I worked at Martin Agency in advertising in that traditional media. And then I shifted into the social media department.
Okay.
And then after that, I went to work at Capital One on their social media team. And we call it kind of like, okay, I was agency side and then I went client side. So that's some of the way they talk about things. So I was real interested in that. I was really excited about working on big brands. So after I'd worked on like Geico, we did a little bit with like Walmart and like I was saying craft brands, the Stovetop and the Cool Whip. So then I was excited to work on Capital One, this other really big brand. And then I went back to the agency side and I worked at a company called Big River. It was a smaller agency in town. It's funny to see now too, because the building that it was in, I think they've since moved offices, but I like walk by it on my walks. And it's cool to see, like, to be in a city for so long and watch, all these different places. Like Vito's is gone and now there's all these different things there. That agency used to be there to see your city grow and evolve.
So when did you, I guess, decide like you wanted to start your own or agency?
I think it was,
what made you want to do it?
I was reluctant to it, honestly. And I think maybe that idea of resistance and wanting to break rules and things like that, I didn't have this big vision of, I want to start a company and I want to grow a team and I want to have these employees. And it's been funny because now, I'm at a point in my firm where it's having to make those decisions and decide, what do you want to do? It really was it felt like my only option. I had worked these different places. I didn't like having my career in someone else's hands. I felt very excited, very passionate about the things that I was doing. I knew the campaigns I wanted to work on. I was doing things outside too. I'd started teaching at VCU. I was getting involved in local groups. Like I was president of the local advertising club of Richmond.
Nice.
And I wanted to do all these other things. And I felt like I was being held back by working for someone else. And
were you scared though?
Oh, for sure.
Starting your own? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I was nervous, just thinking about like, how am I ever going to make as much as I make? Like, how am I going to make a paycheck just for myself?
Yeah.
Where does it come from? And the other thing I always say, the thing I learned and the biggest, I guess, misconception I had was my fear was that people wouldn't take me seriously because I didn't have this big brand name under my belt. So I wasn't at Martin Agency, I wasn't at Capital One, and I was going to have to go out there and get my own clients. And I really thought that was going to be kind of the hardest part and the biggest setback. Like, who is this? Who is Christina? What is Tiramisu for breakfast, TFB? And it actually was almost the opposite. People respect so much that, like, bravery and...
I mean, you're working, like, with McDonald's now.
Yeah.
So, like, how does that happen? Tell me about how that connection was made.
So, when I was at VCU... my last year, I interned. I looked online, had to do my internship for within my requirements and my advertising degree. And there's a company called Morrisette. They're based out of Dallas, but they had an office in Richmond because they had the McDonald's business and do like advertising and marketing.
Yeah.
And it was near Stony Point Mall. And so I interned there and I worked on the McDonald's account.
Okay.
And so I got to meet some of the people there, and I also worked at Bare Minerals, the makeup store. So I would intern at at Morrisette and work on McDonald's stuff during the day, and then go across the street, and then I would actually stop and go get some McDonald's. They used to give me these little like gift cards and stuff too, and then I would go work at Bare Minerals and do makeup at night. And then I always like obviously knew about the McDonald's brand. Everyone knows about it. And I always had a positive, impression of it. But I didn't do too much with it. And then just through being connected in the community, Richmond is, again, like that vibrant creative community. People are connected. There's a girl, Courtney Standifer, so shout out to her. And she's since moved on to a different company. But I remember, shortly, maybe a year or so into working at my own firm, at Tiramisu for breakfast, a year or so into that, she reached out and asked if I knew of anyone that would be interested in doing just some small projects for McDonald's. They needed some things done locally because she was on the marketing side and they needed a PR person. And so when you ask about how we classify the company or how I classify what I do, it's tough because I feel like I could have a different answer almost every day because the everything overlaps so much, like what PR is, what marketing is. And so that, I think, is where we really got solid experience and kind of became known as PR in the PR space. So first we needed for crisis management. And so that was kind of our main thing. Okay. But I just saw that opportunity and snagged it because I knew I was super excited to work on this brand. And that's a piece of advice that I would give to anyone that's thinking too. And I think there's a famous entrepreneur that said something like that. If you're offered a space on a rocket ship, just get on it. Don't ask what seat it is. I forget. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
And so that's kind of what I felt is whatever McDonald's needs, I'll do it. And so crisis management. And I was super nervous about that because I'm how am I going to handle what? But
especially with McDonald's, such a big company, such a big brand.
And that's been another surprise because it's different because there's such a network. So there's already this established brand, so I have that to work within. And then there's also so many other players, and there's precedent, and there's things, okay, this is how this is done. There's processes. I have people to work with. I've been able to learn so much in working for a big brand. It's not just all on me to handle any crisis that McDonald's might have. So that was cool. And then through that, we talked about the importance of if you're doing, crisis management, that's reactive, right? But you also have to be doing some proactive PR. And so you have to be engaging in the community, building relationships with reporters, doing the fun, positive stuff. So that way you've established those connections when you need them, if something negative comes up. And so our first campaign that we did that was kind of, for fun and not a crisis thing was around the McRib. And so that was really cool.
McRib.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of McRib?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because it's just so cool and unique. And I think, again, to work with such a big brand and it has this and even within a big brand, the McRib has this kind of cult following. People are super into it. And so that was really fun. And I guess the McRib, the way it works kind of on the inside is the operators, the people who they're all locally owned, which is another kind of cool thing to learn about the brand. All the McDonald's they vote on.
Going to the meetings.
Yeah, that's right.
They're local, yeah.
Yeah.
That was really fun. And that even reminds me just I have stuff here. This was from, I guess we could start with this one. Remember we would do a lot of events with Short Pump Town Center. And this was right here. I don't know if the camera can catch it, but this is from a photo booth when I was helping out over there. And they would have we would have events where we would have vendors come and maybe a musical guest or something. I remember 3 Sheets to the Wind. They were a guest. They're a great band, and that was really fun too because I was able to be a part of something that got set up where I saw the community come in, families, maybe people on dates. And it was really cool how setting everything up, making sure everything's okay, really being on the other end of making something happen and then seeing it execute, and having a hand in that and seeing how many roles really take place in all of it, making it happen. It's not just you. I think another important thing is in this field of work, it's about communication and really working together with people. And because I think if that happens and it goes by pretty smoothly, I mean, most of the ones that all of them that we did were great. It was really great. And I think the best thing about it too is that you meet a lot of people too from different areas of the industry, who are all great people. And so we did a couple with those. And then I had this hat right here. I'm going to pick it up really quickly. This was from what we would do with the McDonald's athletes at UVA. Am I allowed to talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. So what we would do, and I
That's
probably
a big PR thing too. Wait, is this off the record? Are we allowed to talk about that? There's a lot of, my job is either like, we need you to like blast it and talk about it and like tell everyone about this, or nobody can talk about this. It's like so hard to switch back and forth between them.
But this is good though.
Yeah.
Okay, so we would basically work with UVA athletes, student athletes, through NIL deals that they would have with McDonald's. And so what we would do, we would go to the Ronald McDonald House at Charlottesville, and we would do like a whole photo shoot, and we would be able to meet these athletes. And, you know, kind of, it was like, one of them was like making we were going to make like a cupboard, like a picture of them to put like on a cupboard or whatever.
Like life-size cardboard cutouts of all these athletes. And I guess they all got stolen, but it's okay.
They got stolen?
Yeah, but they kind of knew they would. Like, it's not that they got stolen like right away. It's just that, you know, they're like, the cardboard cutouts are in all the McDonald's restaurants, like in that area. And so that was the photo shoot that we did, like, you know, photographing the athletes so that we could make those. And so then they're popular, like people loved it. So it's not like they like went and stole it and it was this heist or something. It was just like, they were fun at the end of the campaign. You know, people took them and like, they'll be at like a party or something. There's like a cardboard cutout there. So it's cool to do something where, again, it feels like, I mean, sometimes there's negativity and that's when I have to deal with the crisis management stuff. But for the most part, it's like McDonald's, like so many people love it and have great stories. And then especially you mentioned Ronald McDonald House, their charity. Yeah. And so it's just like when you have that charitable element and like to hear about, you know, sometimes I just post about a campaign that I'm doing or maybe photos of the behind the scenes of that. And then people would comment and say stuff just on my social channels and say like, oh my gosh, my family stayed at Ronald McDonald House, or like this impacted me, or that's such a great charity. And you're just like, wow. So yeah, like meeting all those people and staying connected.
The coolest thing too about it is like, I was a student athlete in college at VCU, and just so like seeing these athletes like get opportunities like this, working with McDonald's and like doing a whole photo shoot and like talking to the camera, like making a video and like having all this done. I thought that was awesome because this was around the time where NIL like was still like, it's still in the early stages. Like there's so many possibilities and ways that student athletes can take advantage of that, rightly so. And so I thought that was just really, really, really cool. But yeah, Christina, you know, I told you time was going to fly by. I have some questions to ask you, and then we can wrap stuff up. I feel like I could talk to you. I'll definitely have you again back for another episode in the future. But yeah, so I have some questions to ask, and this is kind of just, you know, things that you don't have to think about too long. But what would you say your favorite snack is?
My favorite snack, oh my gosh, you said I wouldn't have to. But you know what I'm like super into right now is the bazooka gum and grape. Okay. And like, I don't know, I've been eating it all the time.
Okay. And favorite dessert?
Tiramisu.
Favorite fruit?
My favorite fruit?
Yeah.
Gosh. Well, peaches right now. I love burrata.
Okay.
And peaches. Like
I haven't had that. I need to try it.
Burrata. Yeah. Have you had burrata?
No.
I feel like there's like my life before burrata and my life after. Like that's how it's like mozzarella cheese that's stuffed with stracciatella cheese, I think. Okay. And so it's just like so creamy, and we put it on top of like a little crispy like piece of bread, like a little toast, you know, with like basil leaves and burrata and peaches. That's my favorite.
All right. And chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Sweet or sour?
Sour. I heard somebody said something, you can't have like anxious thoughts or have anxiety while you're eating something sour. Okay. And so it's like, if you feel like you're like going into something and you're really nervous or just whatever, have something sour because your brain can't like do both at once. It's good like tip. Trying to, but I don't think it means to just like eat sour candy like for your diet, something? Which is kind of how I took it at first. I was like, great, I'll just like eat these sweet tarts.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Scrambled or sunny side up?
Scrambled.
And last one, breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Breakfast. I love breakfast
too. Okay, good. Yeah, I was going to say the same. Well, Christina, thank you so much. Just like that, episode 3 is done. This woman is amazing. Working with her and for her, it was great. Taught me so much and just made me passionate on what I want to do in the future. And so thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much. It was great seeing and talking with you. Guys, that's episode 3. Please check out the Patreon below. If you guys want to continue supporting me, please subscribe, share this with a friend. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. And as always, eat up.